and welcome. A touch of British class, flying solo, unfortunately, on Slam Pigs Podcast, UK Championship Special Post Show. It is me, Travis from Vicky TMD, supposed to have Logan Myers with us tonight. Unfortunately, we had a little hiccup, a little miscommunication. I think Logan fell asleep, honestly, is what it is. But glad to be here, glad to do this. Big fan of the UK stuff WWE's been doing so far. Real quick, obviously, follow me on Twitter at the HibickyTMD. Check out HibickyTMD on YouTube and Facebook. Michael will be here Sunday for our Backlash post show, along with tomorrow night, Saturday night. Eric Amard will be here for the NXT Takeover Chicago post show. But tonight it's about the UK title special. And what can you say? It was good stuff. As the initial UK tournament this past January was really good, and this was no different. It was more or less more the same. Streamlined matches, vignette. The matches all seem to mean something, which is a big plus in my book. To what makes it so good. Let's go ahead and start from the bottom of the card. The show kicked off with Wolfgang, the supposed last king of Scotland. Now, honestly, before I get to that, actually, I want to say this was announced by Jim Ross, who returned alongside Nigel McGuinness. I have a lot of mixed feelings about Nigel McGuinness, honestly, as a color commentator. I was a big fan of his in-ring work. Him as a color commentator, though, even in Ring of Honor, I was kind of iffy on him. But I thought he did a great job. I thought him and JR had really good chemistry, and I liked it. I thought they played off of each other well. And shout out to JR. And I know JR's going through a lot lately, and he seems like the type of person that if he was like the vice president of talent relations, you'd have to be like workaholic type to keep up with that schedule. So it seems like he's dealing with the death of his wife recently to just work it off. And if it's therapeutic for Jim Ross, I'm all for it. And if it gets him through it, right on. And Jim Ross didn't miss a step, man. Just like when he did the New Japan shows when announcing with Matt Stryker and whatnot, didn't miss a beat. Jim Ross, great job. The only thing, now obviously we know this was taped a while back. This entire show took place at Birmingham, England, and it was taped alongside the initial set of the new UK television tapings. So this was a long 2-day event, and I think by the time like what aired tonight it was the second day, most of it. It was a tired crowd. They'd seen the first day, and I'm not gonna lie, this show started off with kind of a lackluster reaction. Wolfgang, who got over big time, former ICW champion, cruiserweight champion, also like 0-1 or something weird. They always say he has a win over Finn Balor, but he came out first in the show and to like no reaction. And like there was a Titantron, it was very visible what his name was. So that spoke volumes to how long the crowd had been sitting there. But it also did speak to like every match, at least tonight on the card, the crowd got into it. They picked him up, they got him on their feet. Even the cruiserweights did a good job. But we'll get to that. Speaking of Jim Ross, why I brought it up though, I know this was taped a couple years ago. It started off with like a obvious green screen clip of Jim Ross and Nigel McGuinness standing like 8 feet over the people and the ring. It was just a weird setup, and it didn't look right. And it made them both look like giants, and like the people in the crowd were little. So that was really funny. That was definitely a blunder on the editing team of WWE. But other than that, no real noticeable things to laugh at. Wolfgang, like I said, started off the show with one of my favorite guys that I don't know a lot. I didn't know a lot about the UK scene aside from some progress, but Joseph Connors has come into his own and highly scouted. He's had a big feud with Drew Galloway before Galloway went to NXT in What Culture, and I like both these guys. And these guys had an okay match. They both did a lot better, I think, on the tournament show. But I think that also goes to speak to like this was day 2 also, like I said, so who knows, we haven't seen the TV tapings yet, so they might have had a hell of a match the day before this. They were just sore, but it's not like they had a shitty match. I thought Wolfgang did a tremendous job at selling the rib injury. I thought that was pulled off really well. I don't know, I liked the match. It wasn't bad or anything. It was good for what it was, and Wolfgang obviously had the comeback, selling the ribs so much that it made him seem sympathetic, and it worked. And it speaks volumes to how good he is when he's a bigger man and he's bigger than his opponent and he can still get sympathetic babyface heat. I think that was a good job on his part in ring. psychology-wise and whatnot. But yeah, it was a good match. Wolfgang gets the win with the Howling, which is a Swanton Bomb, basically. And that was that. I mean, I don't think Connors came away looking weak because, I mean, he's obviously, like I said, lower than Wolfgang, and he beat the piss out of Wolfgang for most of the match. I mean, I think he came away looking strong in my book. I haven't read I don't read spoilers a lot for any NXT or like unless it's a debut or something or like the UK tapings that happen. So I don't know exactly what they have planned for either one of these guys. I would like to think down the road later this year, if the TV, the weekly TV show is still going, they would definitely be in title contention. Because Wolfgang is very over, especially with the W. It just reminds me of Wu Tang, but the W hand symbol, all that jazz. Joseph Connors definitely, he reminds me of Adam Cole, and that may be, I don't know, the only thing in my book that could hold him back. Because just like Tony Nese is going through and being on the same roster as Neville, they both look so much alike, and Neville is so much better that he's so outshadowed. So I don't want that to happen to Joseph Connors if Adam Cole and him ever cross paths on the same roster. But aside from that, yeah, good little match. Could have been a lot worse. Um, Next on the card, we actually had some CWC cruiserweights going at it, which is weird. Like, they even promoted this initially as featuring stars from 205 Live and whatnot. So I get it. You have these guys just sitting there. You got to get them exposure. I get it. It's a weird cross promotion because I guess it fits in a way, but in a way, I don't know. It's weird. But anyway, it was TJ Perkins tagging who got, like little to no reaction. But I will say one of the biggest pops of the night were for his partner, the Brian Kendrick, to a borderline thunderous ovation from the Birmingham fans. It was impressive. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not the biggest Brian Kendrick fan, but he was definitely over in this match against Dan Maloney from the UK tournament, which was, in my opinion, one of the most lackluster guys. And for some reason, they decided to swoop him up. So they're bad. I don't know. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. But him and the ever entertaining Rich Swann, who he got a decent little reaction. It's Rich Swann. It's hard to boo the guy. He's just so entertaining and so good. The match, aside from Maloney, the UK competitor, is nothing different than you would see on 205 Live. Really, it's the same kind of tag match you would see, a meaningless, just a sporadically thrown together tag match. And it was good. I mean, the end ring in 205 Live is always good. It is. And shout out to Logan, who was supposed to be here co-hosting tonight, my new co-host of Cruise Control, 205 Live show. That's something we always say, that the cruiserweights definitely, they definitely get time in ring, and there's always good matches. It's just pacing is missing on 205 Live. I think it's the biggest umbrella factor with that. But yeah, this match it wasn't bad. It was just another freaking, I said freaking, I obviously am alone. I beat F-bombs everywhere. It's just another tag match you see on 205 Live. The heel's getting over, good stuff. TJP showing a lot of character, I will say, more than I have seen from him as a heel. And it makes so much sense for me to make him a heel, but they have to change his music because A, it's so kid-friendly. It's so easy to like that music. And TJP is so easy to dislike, just the look of him, for me at least. Like, I think it's a good casting for him to be a heel. Just put a little finer touch on it, tweak it a bit, and I think he's going to be a solid heel in the cruiserweight division. I really do. Um, but next we had a bunch of vignettes that were really well done. I forgot to mention during this entire thing, which they did in the UK tournament. You got Pete Dunne, Trent Seven's story. They battled tonight for the new number one contender. The winner of this match and the title match later on this show would go on to fight for the title at Takeover Chicago. And this was Pete Dunne and Trent Seven, both Progress wrestlers, very, very popular over in the UK. And one thing right off the bat that everybody was like, they were going ape shit about, and I even popped a little bit, I marked out for a second, was Pete Dunne coming out with the Progress heavyweight title, like, in his mouth, because that's what Pete Dunne does, even over there. But regardless, so I thought it was cool to see another company's belt. They didn't, the ring announcer totally acknowledged it. It was, but the commentators barely touched on it. But just to see it there was a big enough step in itself, in my opinion. So I thought it was good. I thought it was cool, and you know, I think if anything's taught us recently with the CWC tournament and the UK phenomenon, or whatever you want to call it on the network as of late, that a lot of times are changing, and they're not afraid to take risks on content that's exclusive to the network. So a lot of stuff's going to cater to people that it wouldn't cater to per se on the main roster. Like I say it all the time, we bitch about the main roster when we review it on regular Slam Pig show, but the problem is it's not catered for us anymore. It's for a younger demographic, sprinkled in with some, some IWC indie darlings. But at the end of the day, it's not for us. But yeah, so then you had Trent Seven and Pete, and first of all, my favorite guy in all UK wrestling right now has been the bruiserweight Pete Dunne. I just think his facial expressions, his mannerisms, his look in general. He is legit such a good heel. And I do like the music they've given him in the UK tournament. It's not bad. It's a lot better than Tyler fucking Bates music. It's terrible. That's like borderline stag. It's remember when porn was so old it was called stag? That's kind of what Tyler Bates music sounds like. Old stag porn. Um, but yeah, both these guys, in my opinion, are good. I just like Pete Dunne better. I just think that that's the guy you want to build this initial as your harbinger. And here's his theme, by the way. It is really good. I do enjoy it. I don't know if the build-up's this long on it, but there it is. I don't know. It's got this weird brooding effect in it. I like it. But anyway, Pete Dunne and Trent Seven, obviously, as you would expect, had a really good match. It was a back and forth match. Now, Pete Dunne backstage attacked Trent Seven before this, and it's like an ongoing theme with Pete Dunne, like you saw in the UK tournament, to attack guys beforehand. And I get why they did that because both of these guys, I would say, are on par as far as being over and progress and all those in the UK and whatnot. So I can see why they didn't want to make Seven look weak, so they threw in the backstage angle, which was smart. That's probably how I would have booked it. So he gets beat, but he wasn't at 100% anyway. Basically, is the gist of it. But yeah, this match was okay. There was better from both men on the UK tournament. Once again, I say that in a match on this show, but still, I do recommend this match going out of your way, especially Pete Dunne's finisher, the Don't Look Down, maybe my favorite finisher in wrestling right now. Um, I know Michael, my co-host on Slam Pigs, likes a lot of finishers that you can do to anybody. I do too, but sometimes moves are just cool, and I think this is a unique move we've never seen before. I'm pretty sure it's his. I don't know. He came up in Japan, so who knows? It's tough to say what moves are really anybody's, let's be honest. But great match. Great selling job too by Trent Seven, who, in my book, one day I think is going to hold the UK title eventually too. He's another guy. Um, I can see them maybe giving him some flack. And I know this is generic, but for his body, kind of like a Cassius Ohno. But we also seem like in an era where Kevin Owens was a Universal title holder forever, for like months. And I mean, let's face it about his body. So maybe we're past that. Maybe we have finally reached that point, and we as fans have been bitching about when we had our Snitskys and our bodybuilders, our Rene Duprees, all these guys that we just did not like that Vince obviously brought in because they were body guys. We finally wanted this, so now we got it, and we got to accept guys like Trent Seven. So even for me, I'll call myself out. It's hypocritical for me to say that, so I'll call myself out. But he's really good, and Mustache Mountain, the team is really one of the most over things over in UK wrestling in general. Period, and that's just a fact. And Tyler Bate, and we'll get to him in a second, but just a fucking prodigy. It really does blow my mind when you watch Tyler Bate wrestle. He just seems like God, he's so mature for his age and so ahead of his time for like him. It's crazy. But yeah, back to the match. Pete Dunne gets the win with the Don't Look Down and pretty much clean aside from attacking backstage. And that was that. Pete Dunne obviously getting the big build. Now he's the new number one contender for the UK title. Yeah. So yeah, Pete Dunne, I think at Takeover, whoever, and we'll get to who he beat here in a second. I won't spoil it to the end of the show, but I think Pete Dunne's beating um, vacant or opponent B at TakeOver. And I think, like I said, that's who they have in their mind. Two, you need to put the title on a monster heel. The money's in the chase. Not even the money, just the viewers are on the chase. And I think that's what they should do. And I think they're going to do it. Yeah. Trying to keep up with you guys in the chat. All right, this is a one-man show tonight, guys. So yeah, I think Pete Dunne, and I don't know. I like his ring attire, but I liked it a lot more tonight. But I mean, is it on purpose, like Daniel Bryan colors? Like, did he go to Daniel Bryan? I don't know. It's or Regal. Who knows? One of the two. I don't know a lot about his upbringing. So if you guys want to throw it in comments below or in the chat about the history of that, I don't know. But I liked it. A good match. The main event of the evening was for the UK title. It was Tyler Bate, reigning defending champion, who I will say has, and I don't know if it was more or less him, but it seems like it's like he won the title. He was 19 when he won it. He's 20 now. It was a couple months ago, back in January. As soon as he won the title, he got like a new sleeve tattoo on his arm. He frizzed his hair. He combed it down. He grew his beard out. Like he's like Hollywood Bate now, but he wears like a Rocketeer jacket. If you guys remember the movie The Rocketeer, um, I don't know. I liked him so much better when he was like that fighting 1920s man from England, from Dudley, England. God, I don't know. But he's still really good in the ring. Can't take that away from him. He went in there with former TNA star Mandrews, Mark Andrews, Welsh performer who was hated at first by this crowd in the introduction. Just him being announced from Wales, the crowd just throwing rocks and tomatoes at him. Basically, they might as well have. They just shit on him, but like I said at the beginning too, all these matches, the guys got the crowd into it and over. Thank God, because I'm a big Mark Andrews fan. I think he's really good. Thank God he's talented enough and can carry a match good enough to get a crowd on his side. By the end of it, I think it was, I wouldn't say 50-50, but I think that there were some Andrews fans that weren't there at the start of the match. But yeah, these guys went at it. Um, the match sounds exactly like you think it would. Phenomenal match of the night by far, by far. And one thing I can say, the big controversy right now with the whole dive thing with Randy Orton. And, guilty as charged. We complain about it on these shows all the time about all the dives, the super kicks, the shit that doesn't make sense, a million finishes, blah, blah, blah. You don't see a lot of that stuff on the UK Championship tournament stuff. You don't see that. But you're still getting matches, in my opinion, that are just as good, if not better. You're getting a lot of the Billy Robinson style, the old World of Sport style wrestling, which is, for me, I love to watch that chain wrestling reversal style. To an extent, you can be overdone, but I think they've mixed it well with some brawling, just straight up brawling. On this whole show tonight, ever since the dive controversy, I think subconsciously I've gone out of my way to see how many super kicks are in a match. And on this entire show, I literally maybe counted two, which is that's setting records in 2017 with the amount of super kicks that are in today's matches. So, but anyway, great match. Some sick spots. Spots so sick they need hospice care. Yeah, these guys, they click. They're good. Tyler Bate, like I said, true prodigy. Um, God, I shudder to think how good this guy is going to be if he stays healthy, if he avoids the demons, quote unquote. How good he's really going to be in like 5 or 10 years. I mean, look how good he is now. He wrestles like a true vet. But most of these guys over the Wigan upbringing over there in the UK, all that stuff, they start in their early teens, just like in the Lucha in Mexico. All those guys, the Guerreros, one of the most famous families, started since they could walk because they had a ring in the backyard. So it just depends. But yeah, great match. And it's Tyler Bate getting the win with the Tyler Driver, 97, one of the coolest fucking finisher names ever, just because it has 97 in it. Because it reminds me of like when you'd go down the move list on Fire Pro Wrestling and you'd see they'd have like 97 after a move. It was awesome. I thought it was only like a New Japan thing, but yeah, man, this was a great match. I recommend definitely going out of your way just to watch the last two matches on this. Really, the Wolfgang match is okay, but don't go out of your way to watch it. These two matches, especially the main event, are the ones you want to see. And that was that. After the match, you get Pete Dunne coming out from behind, attacking Mandrews, just laying him the hell out. All of a sudden, you get William Regal coming out to try to push Pete Dunne back. Now, in my opinion, I think we're getting either A, this leading to Pete Dunne being more of a dick, prick, fucking heel, and just beating the piss out of a loved legend like Regal backstage, or a match. Um, I think either would do. I would personally probably rather just see the angle at this point with Regal, because I'm not a big fan of guys, let's be honest, tarnishing their legacy when they're past their prime. But yeah, he attacked him after the match. William Regal came down and then chased him into the ring like a father. It was weird. He's always seemed like a dad when he's around Pete Dunne. Maybe he's so much bigger too. Like Regal looks like a fucking giant. He looks like Diesel next to Shawn Michaels when he stands next to Pete Dunne. A lot of these guys aren't very tall. Like as good as these UK, and I think Tyler Bate's even shorter than Pete Dunne, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, this match was good stuff. And after the match, after Regal like ushered him in the ring, it was a face to face. It is now official. Tomorrow night at NXT Takeover Chicago, you're gonna get Pete Dunne against Tyler Bate for the UK title. My early prediction for that is Pete Dunne. Obviously, I think that's what they're gonna go with. But I don't think that they're gonna shoehorn Tyler Bate into irrelevancy. I think they're gonna keep him up there. I think these guys are gonna have a couple classics, honestly. And I think that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna Steamboat Flair it. They're gonna give us, give us the goods. But other than that, overall, and that's how the show closed, by the way. Overall, I think, I don't know. Tournament was a lot better. I will say that. This was really good too. It was more streamlined. I would give this show a solid B+. That's my final grade. I'm pretty sure Logan would have agreed if he made it here with me, but that's what I got. And tomorrow night, I'm even more excited. It's going to be a 3 days live Slam Pigs here tomorrow night with my buddy MTL Broski after NXT. Check out Slam Pigs Extra, the post show. And, of course, Backlash on Sunday with Michael back to normal, getting stuff situated. But yeah, Michael will be back, guys. Have no fear. I'm sure he will be raring and ready to unleash after a SmackDown pay-per-view. But there you have it, guys. Thank you so much for all these stuff by the chat. Retweeted on Twitter this is the first time I've ever done one of these solo. My voice kind of hurts, so I respect guys like Solomonster a little bit more who always do this solo. But tomorrow night, like I said, catch me with MTL Broski for first thing in the morning. Follow him on Twitter at MTL Broski. Follow me on Twitter at BigTMD. Thank you guys once again. This is UK Championship Special Slam Pigs. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Have a good one.
It's the year of the dragon, so we back up in here. Spit fire from the back of veneers, coming straight from the belly of the beast that's in the back of your ear. Whispering shit that's got you clapping your rear. This panic and fear is damaging. Radical stages of behavior that's got you on a scatty thing, looking for the big ratty thing. You might find happiness if you can make it through the same shit that I'm not. America.